Atengeneza njia pasipo njia, sifa na utukufu kwake.
Hi, my name is Kennedy Ariembi, the church clerk for Tassia Central SDA Church.
My name is Elder Samuel Nyamongo, a member of Tassia Central SDA Church.
I'm Elder Gideon Omwenga Ongoro.
My name is Geoffrey Mose, a member of Tassia Central SDA Church.
I'm Joyce Nyaboke, Tassia Central, a member of Tassia Central.
Hi everyone, my name is Elder Henry Mokwa. I've been an elder in this church for some time, like close to 9 years.
Hello, my name is Valeria Tieno, the current Pathfinder Director of the year 2024. Hello, and how are you? My name is Lelinta Adendi. I'm a member of Tassia Central Church and the current youth leader of Tassia Central Church. Today we're gathered here to celebrate a milestone that is not just measured with a mark of time, but a testament of faith, community, and power of love. Happy, happy, happy anniversary, Tassia Central SDA Church.
Allow me to take this opportunity to invite you to our 10th anniversary, Tassia Central SDA Church, since it was established in 2014. From the beginning, we started with a membership of 30 members, and today the church has a membership of up to 600 members. We want to take this opportunity to invite you to this big day that is scheduled to happen on 2nd of November 2024, where we are going to celebrate the far the Lord has brought us in the evangelism journey and in our bid to ensure that we bring more into the house of the Lord. Please ensure you join us on that day. God bless you.
I want to give a brief history on how Tassia Central came into place. It was in this year 2006 when we had settled here, and it was our first land. The Seventh-day Adventist Church didn't have a place where people could worship, and it kept bothering me on what we could do to have a church in this area so that those people who were coming in could find at least a place where they could worship. By that time, I was worshiping in Pipeline Seventh-day Adventist Church, and while I was serving there as one of the elders of that church, in the year 2006 and 7, we had several board meetings where we deliberated on what we could do to at least see that we could have a Sabbath school within Tassia, the first Tassia region. So within the boards we had deliberations, and out of these deliberations we came to a point where we all agreed that we could start a Sabbath school, which came to give forth to Tassia Seventh-day Adventist Church. To me, Tassia Seventh-day Adventist Church was still quite a distance, and the fact that Tassia was our first land, it was muddy, and I could walk a long distance. I kept pushing and trying what I could actually do with my influence in leadership to ensure that at least we could have a church close where we could be able to worship. In the year 2012, when I served as first elder Tassia Church, I also tried again. We tried to have a crusade between High Street and Elder Elijah Ndonga's place. We did a 2-week evangelist campaign in that region, but because of challenges here and there, we were not able to start a Sabbath school. So I never stopped there. I stepped thinking wide and far, up to a time when two friends came to me who also were being challenged in their own way, what they could do to ensure that at least we have a church within Tassia. With this mind, when we shared ideas with Brother Gideon Omwenga Ongoro and another friend by James Ochengo, we at least came to a point of realizing that there was a possibility.
I used to have an idea that we need a Sabbath school here at Tassia, and this idea really troubled me for a period of time. After the idea of putting a church at Tassia, I had a friend by the name of James Ochengo, who was a devout evangelist. He had a great passion of reaching people with the word. I talked to Elder Ochengo about Tassia. He told me that he was advised by Nairobi East to come at this area and do evangelism door to door, and also to set a church. Meanwhile, as we came to Elder Nyamongo, we shared the same. He was happy to hear that. In the process, as we were talking about that, Elder James Ochengo remembered that he was one of the leaders of city-to-city evangelism, and he had an opportunity to bring the evangelistic campaign to this area. So it made us to pastor who was in charge of city-to-city evangelism, and we talked about it. Then we came and put our ideas together with Elder Nyamongo, and we agreed, and Elder Nyamongo agreed to, we put our ideas together and work towards establishing a church at Tassia.
We did a 2 weeks campaign. On the third week, it was agreed and suggested by those who were concerned that we make an extension of an extra 1 more week that was not programmed by the campaign managers or by the larger church. So we make local arrangements, we made an extension of the campaign, and at the end of the third week, it was recommended that it would be appropriate to establish a church within Tassia. That is how Tassia Central Sabbath School came into existence. Once the Sabbath School was now accepted, it was the 3 weeks evangelist campaign was led by 3 speakers. That is a medical missionary by the name Ayayo. Bible study was being conducted by Evangelist Osoro, and the main speaker was Shaban Indege, who was doing prophecy at that time. So on the final day of the evangelist campaign, we did a promotion which raised 110,000. Out of this 110,000, we were able to buy tents and chairs. And then the main church had to set aside a few leaders who were to start the Sabbath school. In this case, we were given Elder Simon Orina Geke, who was the elder in charge of the Sabbath school, together with Elder Geke, who was the leader or the team leader of the leaders who were within the Sabbath school. We had other leaders like Elder Mukwa, Brother Geoffrey Mose, Judy Roli. We had other leaders like Mary Okeyo. We had other leaders like Elder Obunde. We had others like Joyce Nyaboke, and many more others. A few that I can be able to mention, but there were many more others. Now, out of the many leaders we had, we worked harmoniously. We could share a number of things, because starting a Sabbath school is not easy. We could consult, we could share ideas, we could work along together for us to ensure that we pick off smoothly. After a period like 2 and a few days or so, it became unfortunate unto us that our team leader, who was the elder in charge of the Sabbath school, that I have already mentioned, Elder Simon Orina Geke, met untimely death. He passed away, and after he passed away, he left behind his dear wife, Sister Biriha Osibori Ondieki, and one child and a pregnancy of 6 months. To the Sabbath school that was quite young, almost, as I've said, 2 months, it was detrimental. It shocked us, and we were quite drawn back. However, by God's power and by God's grace, we were able to pick and move on again. After doing the funeral and doing the burial, we were able to come back, once again organize ourselves and pick on. That is where I had to take over from the late elder, and I lead the team to ensure that we could move on. Tassia Central, we grew so rapidly. After around 4 or 5 months or so, we were able to be organized as a church. We were organized as a church in the month of November 22nd, 2014. There were, together with me, there were quite a number of leaders, like Elder Mokua, Elder David Abuga, Brother Geoffrey Mose, Sister Joyce Nyaboke, Sister Judy Roli, Sister Florence Nyamongo, and many more others who supported, who gave their resources, who ensured that the Sabbath school could move and be organized as a church. Once we were organized under the leadership of Pastor Francis Karaoke, who was our district pastor, and the officiating pastor that time when we were being organized as a church was the president of Central Kenya Conference, Pastor Kirago. Once this was done, Elder Samuel Nyamongo was the captain, the chief elder, assisted by Elder Henry Mokua and Elder David Abuga. The other leaders who were selected by the church were Sister Joyce Nyaboke as the treasurer of the church, Sister Judy Roli as the church clerk, and Sister Mary Okeyo as the leader in charge of Sabbath school. Some of the departments were being shared. Remember, this was a Sabbath school. When we were being organized, we were around 25 members. So out of the 25 members, some of the departments, some leaders could have 2, 3, or 4 as one could be able to carry. Now, once we were being organized, there are those who were considered as pillars of the church. This was Elder Mokua, Elder Henry Mokua, Sister Rosemary Mutegi, Sister Mary Okeyo, and Sister Florence Nyamongo. The 4 were the pillars of the church. And then we had quickly to organize and set up, because we were organized as a church. We didn't have any place of worship. We thought that it was good enough to quickly start thinking on how we could develop the church. And then the elders saw it was wise to pick members from the small congregation who could lead and see on how we could pursue development of the church. We selected Elder Julius Oyongo as chair development, Sister Josephine Mayaka, secretary to development, Elder Festus Kopia, treasurer to development. These formed the first initial group, together with the elders, who could see on what to do in order for the church to start developing. And indeed, we were blessed. Within a short time, within 1 year, we were able to do a fundraiser, and we raised a good amount of money. That was close, almost $1 million plus. And we used that money to give as a down payment of our first 2 plots where our church is already established. That is how we were able to start and move on and on and on. As you will be told later, the church has been able to progress. There were quite a number of leaders who helped us. There were quite a number of people who supported us to ensure that we could move forward. So we thank God the far we have come. It has been so precious. It has been so wonderful. Church, Tassia Central SDA Church has indeed grown, and we thank God for the far that we have come.
After some time, we had a meeting as the council, as a mini church board. We decided to make this church an English-speaking church. Fortunately, I proposed it to be a Seventh-day Adventist church which speaks English, and that's why we came up with Tassia Central Church as an English-speaking church. I remember we had not even a name for the church. That's the time when my brother Geoffrey Mose proposed the name for Tassia Central to be the name of our current church. So where we call ourselves Tassia Central SDA Church. After a period of some time, we could be doing some fundraising, mini fundraisers, which could help us buy church items like PA system, microphones, and other small items for the church. We grew rapidly. In fact, we were ordained as a church with no ground. We had no field. We had to know where to call our place. The first time we were worshiping on a ground which we were given freely by one of the elders of the village, who was not a Seventh-day Adventist, by the name Stephen Ongoro. This Mzee gave us a place to worship. We worshiped there for some time, and I remember one time when we were worshiping in this ground, the owner of the plot came and they said we were grabbing her land. She worshipped with us, but before she could continue the worship, some of us, we were wrapped up by the police. We were taken to the cell, and it was on a Sabbath day. It was time for divine service. So after being arrested to the police, at the police post, we negotiated with the police. They released us, and this owner gave us only that Sabbath to worship on that ground. So we had to look for a place, an alternative. We moved just to an adjacent place, our plot, where we were renting at a cost of around 10,000 per month. We used to worship there for some time. That's when we decided we have to look for a place where we call ourselves. What was funny and what was like a miracle, when it used to rain, the ground where we used to pitch our tent every Sabbath morning, it would not get filled up with water. But the subsequent neighboring fields, they would be filled with water, and it was dangerous to our children. People could not move around because the only place where there was no water is in that field. We thank God for that. I want to remind us how we used to put the tent. We were a few of us who could wake up very early in the morning. By that time I used to stay as far as Pipeline. I could come to church at 5. I find my Elder Kobia, Elder Nyamongo, Elder Buga, and Elder Chofre on the ground. We start pitching the tents. We could pitch the tent from 5 up to some minutes to 8. Then we disperse to our homes. For me, I used not to go home because I could carry my clothes for the Sabbath and shoes to change for the Sabbath. So I could remain in the church, in the tent. We started the Sabbath school after my fellow elders have come, and the church members could come and find the chairs organized, the tent is pitched, everything is organized. and we do the service up to evening. Our church members were so much supportive. They could carry pack the lunch which we used to take in the church. Again in the evening we could change to our morning gears and start removing the chairs. In fact, we had no store where we put the chairs. We had no office. We had no ground for the church. So our items were kept at Elder Nyamongo's house, which was 200 to 300 meters away from where we used to worship. So everybody could go home, but the 4 or 5 elders will remain on the ground. We call all the tents, we call all the chairs to Elder Nyamongo's place and wait for the next Sabbath. We could not go home until everything is done. I remember one time it rained. We remained on the ground. We had feasters, we had many tents and chairs. We stayed up to midnight when we were able to take everything to the store where Elder Nyamongo had given us. So it was a challenge. Again, we used to have our council meetings every Sabbath, every day of the week. And I remember one time we could have business meeting whereby the elders, led by Elder Nyamongo, could buy lunch for everyone in the church. We asked one of the ladies who was our neighbor. She cooked ugali and skuma wiki for every one of us to eat, to share, so you can have business meeting that no one could go away at lunch hour. The meetings could continue every Sabbath, every day. Our elders councils were every evening, every day of the week, every evening. And after the elders council, we had development council. The development council also used to sit, in fact, almost every day, apart from some few days when they could give themselves a break. The elders council was to run from 6 in the evening up to 9 at night. Again, we could join the development council where we could do all our activities as a family of Tassia Central. That's why where we came up with the fundraisers, we came up of looking for a place. We decided to move to a different field, and we had to engage some few individuals so that we can get a place for worship. Immediately after ordination of this Tassia Central Church, and we were ordained with no ground, with no item, with nothing, we tasked the development council to look for our land where we found our present place of worship, and we paid money to that lady who was not an Adventist but who was happy that people of God have come to look for land. So I want to remember we used to have meetings, elders council, because we had no place. We had to do meetings at Elder Nyamongo's house for the night council. Again, I want to thank Ms. Nyamongo who could provide for us supper every time we are in her house. After the elders council, we used to go to where the development councils used to stay or conduct our meetings. We were conducting the development councils at Sister Josephine Mayaka's house. Madam Josephine, may God bless you, because you could also provide for us the supper and everything, and the moral support. So again, Madam Josephine could give us a store where we could put most of our items. When we found it was so tiring, taking to the Nyamongo's place and bring them back, it was so tiring. Sister Josephine gave us accommodation. We had to hire a place, an office just next to the church where we used to worship, and we started keeping our items there. When we moved from the place where we used to rent to our now place, we had no office. We built a mapati shift, but we had to keep our items. They were so valuable. we went to MMC Plaza, where Brother Geoffrey Ombati and his wife Bervin, where they used to stay. We had to keep our items there. It was so challenging that our items, most of our items got broken or were getting broken because of the movement, damage of some of the church items. But still we could keep up because we had nowhere to call our place. Our items used, we were using electricity. The Owino and his family could provide to us free electricity. Every morning he would give us electricity as he was going to church to Nairobi East. He would give us a place for storage and electricity. The most challenge was on this ground. When it rained, things were terrible. As in, you find most of the place, even when we were pushed away from where we used to worship and we went to a new place, now water was everywhere. When it rains, the tents would sink because the ground was muddy. So we could tell men to stand next to the poles of the tent. If they find they see the tent sinking, they would carry the tents or get hold of the poles, and we shift it softly to another place, even without the members noticing. So it was a good exercise. It was so nice, and we get so much connected to one another by doing these manual works. Members would bring breakfast for us because they knew elders were working on the ground. Men were working on the ground to pitch the tents, and in the evening they would take the tents back home. Our members were so much supportive, including our sister Agnes Ombong, who could bring us uji in the morning with chapati and ripe bananas.
Tassia Central is a church of God that, as you've been informed, began in the year 2014. Tassia Central, as from conception here, we've been able to achieve a number of achievements, both assets and even spiritually. In Tassia Central, when we were worshiping at borrowed ground just adjacent the police post of Tassia, we were hiring tents for the first 2 to 3 weeks before we were able to purchase ours. And when we were hiring this, the numbers that were coming each and every Sabbath, they were so big that whatever we had will not accommodate them during the Sabbath. That is why even my elder said some members were sitting on stones. So we were able to purchase a 100-seater tent at a cost of around 75,000, and we were able to purchase some seats, around 100 of them, and this served us for like 2 months, and we saw again the church is growing rapidly, that even forced the leadership to add another more tent of a 50-seater with 50 seats. So this served us for a number of time. Now we had a 100-seater tent and a 50-seater tent with the seats inside them. If you can check the displayed picture here, you can be able to see how the church was looking when we had set it Sabbath morning for ready for worship. So God enabled us to achieve this, and we went as far as having the public address system of the church. We had a Huja amplifier, we had an inter-M mixer, we had a Huja horn speaker, and we had 2 mid-range speakers, and we had a generator of 1100 watts that were purchased from one person who was a dealer of this. So we were using this in our Sabbath and even our Vespers programs. The borrowed ground that we used to worship, in fact, we got a good Samaritan by the name of Stephen Ongoro, who was a resident of Main Street down there. He only told us that go at the adjacent police post. After the community failed, down there are some free plots. There's one plot which he knew the owner, so pitch attend there, be worshipping there. We want to really appreciate Mr. Stephen Ongoro for his tireless efforts that he really enabled the church to be worshipping on this borrowed ground. Mzee, Mungu akubariki sana kwa kazi ambayo ulifanya katika kanisa hili. Now Tassia Central had gone an extra mile due to the leadership that was in place. Remember, members are growing each and every Sabbath, and at the same time here the needs of the church were many as it's growing. I remember our pastor by then, our administrator, Pastor Francis Karaoke, informing us as the leaders that you need to begin asking members to give towards the needs of the church. That's how now we put our minds together and we said, what do we need as a church? We need a church plot. We need a place where we are going to worship. Now here, this made us to sit down because our membership, you know, we were 25 members. As you have been informed here, some were borrowed from churches so that we can organize Tassia Central. After organizing the church, they transferred their names to their churches, and we were left like around 15 to 17 members in our church. We have not done any baptism so that our membership can grow. We had only Supper School members. We thank God that we had the first baptism class in our church as a Supper School, and some few members, like 8, were baptized. This really increased our membership from 17 to around 25. Now here this facilitated us to add more leaders in the church. For example, when the need of a church plot came into existence, Samuel Nyamongo, Elder Mukua, and myself saw it wise that we can incorporate our members of good intention, members of regular standing, that they can help the church in acquiring the plot. That's when now Julius Soyongo was selected to lead the development team of this church. Ndugu Mzee Julius Soyongo, thanks for the good work that you did. The Secretary of Development was Sister Josephine Mayaka, who also did a tireless job during this time. Josephine Mayaka, Mungu akubariki sana. We had the Treasurer for Development, who is Elder Festus Kopia. Ndugu Elder Ntotomikwa, Mungu akubariki sana for being faithful in having these development funds. Now the three, the chairman, the secretary, and the treasurer, plus the leadership of the church, we were coming together daily meetings so that we can see how we can achieve the plot of the church. Under the leadership of Mzee Nyamongo, now the issue of getting a loan emerged. We tried to look a loan from CKC. We were being referred to a Shylock. We tried to get a loan from the conference itself. They said they had no money, they had borrowed many churches, and therefore they cannot be able to offer us a loan. Now we came back again, back to square one. The development council, the elders, and some leaders of the church, asking ourselves, what can we be able to do? Then here now, Elder Festus Kopia told us that why can't we try Faulu Kenya, that they can assist us. We have a loan, we pay the owner of the land so that we remain paying the loan to the bank. Now here this forced us to go back and make something we call a trustee deed of the church, stood as a guarantor between Faulu Bank and Tassia Central. We cannot forget Mr. Isaac Nyamaiko, who gave us a collateral, his own land title deed, that was put in the bank for us so that we can be able to get a loan. I really thank Mr. Nyamaiko and the family for allowing Tassia Central, giving us that collateral so that you trusted us and the leadership. God bless you, Mr. Isaac Nyamaiko. We went to Faulu Bank. Tireless efforts of Mr. Kopia and the Sister Josephine Mayaka and the Julius Oyongo following the loan is not easy, members, as you know. We were able to secure around 3.2 million from Faulu, Kenya. Remember the current plot where we are sitting, It is 33 by 66. There are 2 plots that was costing 5,040,000. So when we received 3.2 million from Faulu Bank, we deposited again to Sister Mercy, the owner of the plot. Indeed, this loan we were able to purchase, we were able to pay the loan to Faulu Bank within 1 year. How did we do this? We came together as members of the church. We asked the members, please give us a standing order. How much can you be giving us monthly so that we can be able to service the loan without straining ourselves? Members gave out standing orders. I would pay 10,000, 5,000. We had even members giving 50 shillings, even 10 bob. People were giving. And all this, we were putting them together in one basket. And at the end of the month, we were paying 195,000. And we were able to even do some fund drives within a year. April, the first quarter and the last quarter, we were able to offset this loan. So that was the first loan. And again, because of the need of the church, these 2 plots were not enough. We saw it wise to extend to this plot on this other side of the church, where again we went to Wanandege Sacco through the leadership of Brother Stephen Nyamota. I want to thank Brother Nyamota, who was the chairman of the Wanandege Sacco. He really ruled the membership of that Sacco that the Tassia Central can be able to pay. Here now, with our trustee deed, with Brother Nyamota and the Development Council and the leadership of the church, we came together. Even 2.5 million from Wanandege Sacco, which we paid the owner of this plot, and also we offset that loan within 1 year, because the standing order that we used when we had our loan from Faulu Bank, the same standing order were in place to pay Wanandege Sacco within a period of 1 year. This really made us grow very fast. The needs of the church were many. For example, the shade, you cannot have worshippers not comfortable in the church. Even our ground was not, our floor was not bearable. We tried to have some kind of bearable ground where even you can kneel. And again, here on the shade, when it rains, we had a number of leakage from the roof. But we thank God that the leadership of Loyongo in development, the leadership of Sister Josephine Mayaka, who even led development for more than 4 years in this church, it made us grow development-wise. And indeed, we want to thank God, because what we were doing by then, it was not by our own. It was a Spirit of God in us that led these people of God to achieve this. In fact, we were able again to acquire a 3rd plot that is we use as parking currently. This plot we were able to get a loan from Equity Bank, around 2.8 million to pay the owner, and the loan that we get from Equity was 2.5 million. This loan we paid it for more than 2 years. Remember, we had in 2020, that was the 2nd year we were struck by the pandemic, coronavirus, whereby most of our members, some were working from home, some lost job. You remember what happened, some shutdowns in the country, lockdowns here and there. Even the economic crisis that came up because of the coronavirus facilitated the church to pay the loan in 3 years. We thank God that even when we were at home, we were able to service the loan even at a cost of 20,000 per month. That was a milestone for Tassia Central. Indeed, this, on the acquirance of plots in Tassia Central, we have acquired these plots through loans from various banks. God bless the members of Tassia Central. God bless the leadership that was here. Remember, when we were acquiring the Faulu Bank loan, Lanyamongo was the first elder. And indeed, we thank God for this much effort that he did in this church. When we were acquiring the 2nd loan from Wanandege Sacco, Elder Festus Kopia was the first elder of this church. God bless you, Mr. Kopia, for the tireless effort you did for this church. When we acquired Equity loan, Elder Wesley Onyoni was the first elder of this church. Indeed, we thank you for the service and the tireless efforts you did for for the church. Now the first loan, the collateral was from Elder Nyamaiko. The second loan again, Elder Nyamaiko gave us the collateral to Wanandege Sacco. The third loan from Equity, our elder, our only brother, Elder Paul Obunde, gave us the collateral to acquire a loan from Equity. Elder Obunde, the family, bless you for the much abundance you did in this church. Members, this in getting us the plots, this is how we acquired them. Members really trusted the leadership that what telling members they were able to see and witness with their own eyes. Thank you, members, and thank you to leadership. On development, right? Yes, we have achieved. We cannot forget that spiritual wise, we as a church, we've been able to have several evangelistic campaigns. We had a crusade at Makuti in the year 2017. This was the time again we were going to have our first camp as a church. We were able to do an evangelistic campaign at Makuti. We baptized around 8 members, but unfortunately, not even one is in the church currently as we speak. We again did another evangelist campaign at Church Road. This Church Road, some members were baptized. I want to thank God that around 15 souls that were baptized, most of them are in church.
We have to shed some light on the good things that the youth have been doing in the course of the many years that the church has been in existence. The youths are very mission oriented, and the spirit always wants to move towards mission work. And I say that they've done a great job from the year 2019 to the year 2024. In the year 2019, the youth went to Captain Ball for mission. They were able to baptize close to 35 members, and the 35 members were put in a Sabbath school, and the Sabbath school is actually growing day by day. Then in the year 2022, the youth also went to Kokwet, to the farthest areas of Rift Valley. They conducted a mission work from the Sabbath school, and the church has still been growing till date. To announce to you that the Sabbath school has grown to the point that it has opened another Sabbath school, which I believe will open other Sabbath schools. And the ministry of the youth is going to have a lot of impact to different people outside the society, not necessarily just within Tassia Central. We want to thank the church in a special way for the support that they've been able to give to the youth in conducting these missions, and also the members who are not part of Tassia Central Church for the support that they've been able to give the youth to conduct this ministry. Thank you so much. May God bless you.
We cannot forget our AWM who went to all the way to Kimoini in Ukambani. They did an evangelistic campaign for 2 weeks. We opened a Sabbath school at Chahani. It is there. We thank you, the AWM, for the work you did. We've been able to evangelize outside this place, opened Sabbath schools, and here indeed we are feeding people spiritually. Socially as a church, the welfare is in place. When this welfare came into existence, members who were bereaved, they were being given a token of 10,000. Whether you lost a parent or a child or a spouse, the church welfare was to give you 10,000. Later on, this support was too little, and the leadership of the church saw it wise that the welfare was restructured. And I remember that Samuel Nyamongo was elected to be the welfare chairman of the restructured church welfare. Nyamongo came in with strategies, and our members came in and joined by registration of a fee of non-refundable Kenya shillings 200, and the restructured welfare promised our own members that when one is bereaved, you are being given a token of 60,000 Kenya shillings. This welfare has been in place for more than 2 years, and it's working on well. We encourage all members that we have to live and stay together socially. In the case of a disaster or a calamity, you are being assisted by your own members. So members of the church, if you are not in the welfare, I urge you that you join the welfare, that in the case of an emergency, in the case of a calamity, you are being assisted. And also, it is good that we can attend, we can join, we be big, so that we can reduce the burden. We can increase this figure from 60,000 to 100,000 so that we can be able, as you know, matanga nowadays imekuwa very expensive in the Republic of Kenya. Kindly members, we cannot say we want to die, and God forbid this, but this comes. And hereby I encourage you to join the welfare so that at least we can be in big numbers. We reduce the burden to the bereaved families. On spiritual, as a church, Tassia Central, when we were worshiping here, we were doing our Wednesday and Friday Vespers at the places of our members where they used to stay. We were moving from house to house. On Wednesday, we can go to a certain family. On Friday, we go to a certain family. We conduct our prayers here. This fostered our unity. This even made this kind of Vespers people to attend in large numbers. We did this for a number of time, but it reached an extent where that members were attending in large numbers and we were not able to fit in a house. So the leadership saw it wise that now Vespers can be conducted at our church grounds. We had acquired a plot through the loans, as I have explained earlier on. So the Vespers were conducted at our church grounds. It went on for a while until there was poor attendance. And again, the leadership has seen it wise that the church to devolve into regions where we have what we call prayer cells. Even those people who are staying within Tassia and even outside Tassia, we have prayer cells whereby all members are encouraged to join so that they can be able to pray from wherever they are. We thank the leadership for these tireless efforts. We cannot forget the church leadership, that even when our members are bereaved, they pay visitation. Our elders, God bless you. When one is in need, there is needy cases in the church. Our leadership, they visit this, they attend the same. We cannot have a blind eye to this. Our leadership of the church, this work that you're doing to our members, may God of heaven richly bless you.
I was appointed to be a church treasurer when we moved from Tassia Main to our Sabbath school called Tassia Central at the year 2014. Now, to my appointment to be a treasurer, I was handling funds. That's now trust fund, development, and local church budget, and others. We were few by that time, and initially we started giving a little bit amount, which is amounting to 30,000 to 100,000, that we were to share with one account with Tassia Main. Later on, after 6 months later, we were given Tassia Central to be a church. We opened an account at the Equity Bank, Donham. Our trust fund offering at the initial point when we were few, it was roughly 200,000 to 600. And as time went by, people increased their giving. We could increase to 1 million. And as when time went by, as I worked as a treasurer for almost 5 and above years, we went up to 2 million per month. Now, with the development also, as we were having an aim to have our own plot, people sacrificed themselves to give to the utmost giving. We started a fundraise, a special offering with 200,000. Another one increased, and we went on. At one given time, we went raising up almost 1.4 to 1.7. And also the local church budget also increased. At one given time, people were willing to give, and they gave with their willingness. And as we were giving, it enabled us to have that energy, that enough offering to buy the first plot. We went on buying the second. Again, we went on having the 5 plots of Tassia Central Church. We thank God for the people who worked at that time, and we were glad our church has grown. We are heading far to develop it to be a big church in the future.
I want to thank God. It has been by His powers, by His mercies, by His grace that we have come this far. He has held us. He has taken us ups and downs until we are now as Tassia Central SDA Church. So I thank God for His mercies. I thank God for His grace. I also want to say that we rely all upon Him to see that the church grows to greater heights. We still need to reach more souls. The vision, the thought that we had initially was to reach more people who were coming to Tassia Central. I can indeed say that there is a lot to be done within Tassia Estate. There are more people who need to be reached. So we need as a church to rise up and get to more people, reach to more people within this region who have not gotten the message. I also want to thank the Central Kenya Conference under the leadership then of Pastor John Kirago, who was the conference leader, who was the president of the conference by that time. I want to thank our district pastor by that time, who came in shortly after the crusade, after the campaign, Pastor Francis Karaoke. He was so supportive. He helped us. He guided us. He showed us the way. He was close unto us. He could do seminars together with us. He could do church boards together with us. Even when we had challenges, Pastor was close unto us. He knew that this was a young church. He knew the challenges that we were going through. So he never tired. He never felt burdened when we were going to him from time to time for assistance, for advice, and even all that we needed. He was out and ready to help us. So I really thank him. There are quite a number of people that we could given time and space that we could have appreciated. Our district churches by that time, the Tassia Central Church, together with the leaders of that church, the elders like Elder Philip, Elder Kebande, and the rest who were there. Mbakasi Garrison, Elder Mwandembo, he was of much help unto us. The other elders like our main church, Elder Karani, Elder Francis Omori, and many more others. The Pipeline SDA Church, Elder Makori, Mamboreo, he was of much help unto us. Elders of builders, elders of Kwara Central, they were of great help. They supported us. They were close unto us. Whenever we could need whichever kind of support, they were there to help us. Even the neighbor other non-Adventist churches within Tassia Central, they were of much help unto us. When people could flow in great numbers, we could run unto them and ask for chairs. I cannot forget to thank Sister Josephine Mosetti, Sister Jemima Mosetti. When we could lack chairs, he could go to his place. There was a Sunday worshiping church that was there. Borrow chairs from them, give us at no cost, not once, not twice, several times, so that our members who could flow in could find a place to sit when the rest could sit on stones. Indeed, it was marvelous. It was good. It was exciting, and I thank God for that.
We thank God all along. We thank God because we used to pray and our prayers were answered. We thank God for hearing our prayer and give people that spirit of willingness to give themselves in the offerings to improve where we were having no church. Until we got a plot, we have a church. We thank God for all that offering. We thank even all the members who participated at that time. May God bless them abundantly, and may God keep on blessing our church entirely.
Thank you, members, and this much we have done. We want to pray that the Holy Spirit to lead us to do more than we have done from the past. When we were very few, we could do much. Now we are many. We are able to do more than what we did those times.
God bless you, Tassia Central, for being there socially, for being there spiritually, for doing all this, because we have to be in our fellowship wherever we are.
Every year we celebrate our anniversary and the years that we've spent in our ministry, and we've done a number of activities. On this day, we want to celebrate and appreciate the far the Lord has brought us throughout the 10 years.
Oh, what a spectacular day it is to mark the 10 years of life-changing services, evangelism and baptism. Happy anniversary to Tassia Central SDA Church. I'm Hesbon Muma.
Cheers to 10 years together. Happy 10th anniversary, Tassia Central SDA Church. Atengeneza njia pasipo njia, sifa na utukufu kwake. Unapoona magumu maishani mwako, mwite huyu